like it looks like in interest rates. While it's always an ongoing conversation about interest rates,
Absolutely.
the fluctuation with the coronavirus and the stock market and all these things, I think people think sometimes have an immediate impact on interest rates, and it isn't always the case. There's always a trickle-down effect of anything that happens in the economy. Same thing with the presidential election. Anything that happens in the election, it's not going to have an immediate impact. These are things that over time, a variety of different things can have an impact. People think the Fed rate, for example, is the dominant factor,
Right.
and so there's so many variables that go into play.
Right, actually the dominant factor is the U.S. 10-year Treasury bill, and this week, because of the fears mainly from the coronavirus and what's going on, the 10-year hit an all-time low, and it's touching an all-time low, and therefore mortgage rates have now once again hit an all-time low. And
which is awesome.
It's incredible. It is. I feel like we're always saying now's the time to buy or to refinance and whatnot, but now we're at the bottom, and we hovered there, and while the coronavirus can be a scary thing and it can be out there, and obviously from a human perspective is terrible and whatnot, it has caused mortgage rates to go down, and it's created an incredible opportunity from an affordability standpoint for people to save money with whether refinancing and buy bigger houses.
And who knows what ends up happening
Right,
with it. I mean, certainly there's fear happening in parts of the globe and even in parts of the country. There's so much that can happen with it that we have no idea yet. People are taking precautions, and I'll admit, I'm a prepper. I've got cases of water.
Yeah, right.
I got canned foods. I got bags of Doritos. I mean, I'm stocked up. I got ham radios. I mean, I am. So I'm good from that standpoint. The reality is that so far, I think there's 14 cases in the U.S. We haven't seen any deaths, and I found it interesting. I saw someone post this the other day, and it's still obviously very early with this virus. There's been MRSA and SARS and so many other things that have happened that flared up that looked like they were going to be something big, and eventually they get figured out or kind of die out. So who knows what will happen? But I saw something from a friend the other day that said there's 14 cases of coronavirus in the U.S. and 100,000 people die every year of the flu. What's on the news?
Yeah, absolutely.
And it goes back to a comment I made a few weeks ago where we had a segment where we talked about how a lot of the news is meant to be sensational. It's meant to get you to watch, and sometimes it's meant to get you to act, and then cause fear, and then you keep paying attention and watching more, and then guess what? They sell more ads, and then guess what? You go buy stuff. So there's always a slant with the news, but until it's hard for me to overreact or even really react in any kind of substantial way until something else happens here, because it hasn't really hit here much.
And the media does it because it works, and so it actually happens, and it does cause fear, and that's one of the reasons right now that the rates have gotten low. So when there's fear and people are afraid of the stock market, and you're seeing that dropping, so the money's got to go somewhere, so it floats out of stocks and it goes into bonds. And therefore the yields come down, causing mortgage interest rates come down, and that's the whole technical reason why it all happens. But you're right. As of yet, it hasn't caused major impact here in the United States. The flu is, and it's a terrible flu season we're having here in the U.S., and I've seen it anecdotally and from people I know, and even my wife had it, and it was awful. But